Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, channel that brings you your team every single day. Guys, we're going to talk this Sunday morning about the CEO search farce that continues with probably the worst recruitment consultancy in the business. You've got to kind of wonder who they've taken on as recruitment consultants, and are they all Celtic fans? I wonder if they're called Green and White Consultants or Hail Hail or something like that. You never know with Rangers. You genuinely never know the levels of incompetence that our board stoop to. So, look, let's follow a bit of a timeline, shall we? So we know that, obviously, go back to May this year. James Bisgrove announces that he is departing the club to go and take up an opportunity in Saudi Arabia, well-paid opportunity with lots of prospects, obviously, for the future. So, look, you can't blame James Bisgrove for that. No doubt a larger salary, no doubt bigger options and, better standard of life, maybe. Look, everyone would do it. We all do it, don't we? If you're offered a job and you kind of someone comes to you and says, here, take this job, you can get 20 grand a year extra, 10 grand a year extra, whatever, you're going to go, yeah, okay, cool, I'll have it. So you can't blame James Bisgrove for that. However, the way the club have gone about replacing him has just kind of descended into a little bit of a farce, hasn't it? And you've got to kind of question, how have we got to this point where we've got an acting chairman who doesn't seem to know his arse from his elbow. We've got no one running the club. We've got a manager who claims to be answering all the questions about everything, yet isn't answering the questions about everything, which just seems utterly ludicrous. Because I'm sure in his press conference, Cam on the other week said that he had an extra pressure because he was answering questions on everything about the club. Yet I've never heard him asked ever about the CEO search, about the stadium debacle, about the chairman search, any of that stuff. So I don't know where that's coming from. I think it's just trying to distract from what a shit job he's doing. But, I think we underestimate the importance of having a chief executive officer, a CEO at the football club, someone who oversees the day-to-day running of the football club, someone who kind of not only oversees the football side of the business, but also sees the business side of the business, if you will. A guy who will look for alternative income revenue streams, who will look for different sponsorship opportunities, who will look for ways of increasing the funding, who will look for ways of getting more money into the business, who will look for a better way to run the business, who will obviously take action when certain people at the football club, e.g. the manager, are not doing their job. Yet we don't have anyone. So, like I said, we go back to May this year. I think it was the 30th of May. It was formally announced. But you've got to understand that most people have a notice period. So you can imagine that James Bisgrove would probably let the club know at the start of May that he was intending to depart the football club. So, if we take May, which is obviously the fifth month of the year, and we're now in November, okay? We're coming up for nearly 6 months, and we still don't have a chief executive officer. 6 months. I don't know about you, but I don't know how it takes 6 months to find someone to come in and replace the club, replace the role of CEO, unless there is a problem. So, look, we've had names linked. Obviously, James Gillespie, who is the assistant chairman at St Mirren, was linked, and then he seemed to distance himself from the job very rapidly and move away from that. And I think that was probably the right decision after all. I mean, he, to me, seemed a bit like a stooge for the board, a bit of a yes man for the board. I do genuinely feel that the next person who is CEO needs to have independence from the board, needs to have the ability to question the board, needs to have ability to stand apart from them and actually say, no, that's not the way we do things. That's not how it should work. No, that's not what you do. And also someone who is given the independence, the ability to actually work, off their own initiative and not be just another stooge to the Park family. So obviously that's part of it. Now, then, obviously, we had a situation where John Bennett talked about, in his interview that he gave, Mr. Caveat himself, talked about the fact that the CEO search was well underway and that someone would be appointed in due course. And then it kind of fell apart again and nothing seemed to happen. And we didn't seem to be getting one. And then he stepped down because of ill health. And obviously, we wish John a speedy recovery and wish John all the best for the future. But that obviously was a disappointment. And then, around a month ago, interim chairman John Gilligan spoke to the media. And he spoke about the whole CEO search. And he spoke about the fact that it was ongoing and that there was a short list from a long list, which quite how it took, I think that was September time, quite how it took 4 months to come up with a short list from a long list. God only knows. I've never ever in my job shortlisting people for interview ever taken 4 months to come up with a shortlist. But hey, you know what? Each to their own. And then you hear him talk, and he says a dream scenario. So not the scenario, not a promise, not a it will definitely happen, not a it is going to happen, not a we will sort this out as soon as we can. No, none of that. It was the dream scenario is that we will have someone in place by Christmas. That's the dream scenario. Right. Okay. So dream scenario that's some 7 months after we hadn't got a CEO, we might finally replace him with another CEO. 7 months. Now, please, someone out there tell me how that's good business. Someone tell me how that is good for our football club, because it isn't good for the football club. A football club that doesn't have a chairman, a football club that hasn't got a director of football operations, that hasn't got a proper academy director. Yes, we have some numpty called David McCallum who doesn't know what he's doing. And we've now got no CEO as well. And, it just seems an utter farce. Now, it's a dream scenario. Well, why is it just a dream scenario, John Gilligan, when you're telling us that there is an employment or recruitment consultancy working with the club to form a shortlist to recruit someone? It's a dream scenario, so it might not happen. That could mean that we're going into January without a chairman, without a CEO, without a director of football operations, and we are going to a January transfer window that is going to be key to the rest of the season. Now, how does that work? How can you go into a January transfer window knowing that, this sort of time anyway, November onwards, you need to sit down and start planning for that January transfer window, because scouts have got to go out and watch players. The manager and the director of recruitment have to meet with someone who oversees that meeting, who then talks about what are the priority targets, what can we afford, what can't we afford, what's the budget, is there a budget, is there no budget, is it only the loan market we're looking at, is it the end of the free agent market we're looking at, where are we looking, in terms of these deals? But there's no one to oversee that because we have no chief executive officer. We have no one to oversee it. So in effect, it falls to John Gilligan, who, like I said before, is a nice enough guy, but I don't think has any real power to actually authorize anything or to kind of say yes to anything. It's Kareem Varani, who is the head of marketing and business side of it. You've got Leatham, you've got a number of people, but who have no real power over that side of the business. So I don't get where the direction comes from that. So we're then going into a January transfer window, a really key January transfer window, where we seemingly lack leadership and direction, and it all falls on, whatever you think of Philippe Clermont and Niels Kopp, and it all falls on them two again. And their record is not great so far. So, look, that's the first concern. Now, the second concern, obviously, is, there have been names linked. Don't get me wrong. There's obviously Gillespie, who backed away faster than, I don't know, the fire truck from I don't know, from whenever. We've got a situation where Adrian Bevington was linked, and then that seemed to die a complete death, and nothing seemed to happen with that. So Bevington's not coming; it's not going to be him. Whereas that would have been a fantastic appointment, someone who oversaw Club England, who oversaw a massive income revenue stream boost for Club England, who oversaw more sponsorship deals, who oversaw the movement forward of England, who employed and worked with top foreign managers like Fabio Capello, Sven-Göran Eriksson, God rest his soul, people like that. So that was distance. Now, there are some concerns. Now, is it that these candidates that we're drawing up this shortlist of, that nobody has actually applied for the job, and that we've kind of gone round and we've gone, right, who can we get? Who is a possibility for this job? Who could come in and run this football club for us? Who's got football knowledge, which is a must, and who's got business knowledge? So, you look at some of the people who've appointed in the past. Obviously, Newcastle have appointed Paul Mitchell, who is a top football guy who he was pretty much a no-no because he was thinking, I'm sure he was the guy who got rid of Clermont at Monaco. Great guy to get in, really, I suppose. He's got a crack history of getting rid of Philippe Clermont. Please come, Paul Mitchell, tell us how to do it. Michael Edwards was another one who was at Liverpool and stopped working for Liverpool. Now works for Liverpool again. He was a name linked, wasn't he? People talk about Graham Souness, but he's not got the business side of he's not business acumen, so I don't think it's really going to be him. Now, is it, these candidates are being approached and they're kind of looking at the club at this moment in time and going, right, hang on a minute. So we've got no chairman. So whoever appoints me, then in 6 months' time, we might have a new chairman or even a new owner, hopefully, please. And he might not like me and he might sack me. So this is a short-term job. So that's not looking attractive. Then looks at the financial situation, looks at the debt, looks at the loss and goes, Hmm. So you're asking me to take over a business that's actually failing here, that's got a debt in excess of something like £20 million, that made a £7 million loss. I think was it our loss? Our market loss was 19.2. That was it. Our market loss last season, our loss that we made, our debt ran at 19.2 million. Debt at 19.2 million. Please note that Celtic made a profit of 19.8 million. Is the chief executive sitting there and looking at this and going, this ain't looking good, guys. This is not looking good. Okay, so then you want me to help with the January transfer window. So what's the budget? What's the budget, guys? How much money have we got to spend in January? Nothing, unless we sell. We can bring in loans. Okay, right. It's not looking great, is it? I mean, look, yes, Rangers are one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Yes, we have one of the biggest fan bases in world football. Yes, we are a massive club. Yes, we are a prestigious name. But at this moment in time, we are not an attractive proposition to someone who wants a long-term future in the business. You look at it and you think, well, there's no chairman. Now, realistically, the CEO and the chairman have to work closely together. Now, if the new chairman comes in, after the CEO is appointed, he takes one look at the CEO and goes, he's not my guy, or she's not my woman. I don't want these people in charge of my business. I want someone different. It's a short-term gig, and you don't really want to be sacked after a month or 2 months or 3 months of being in the job, because you can't make a real difference. And then you got a process that has to start all over again. It's not great. It really isn't. And I can't help but feel that as a club, we're kind of going about this the wrong way. We're kind of looking at this and there just seems to be no unified strategy for sorting out the issues at the top of the club. Now, to me, I look at it as a fan, and I also look at it as someone who understands business, and I look at it as someone who, has a fairly sound knowledge of football. And the club's rotten from the bottom to the top. The board, every decision this board make just smacks of absolute incompetence. You've got an interim chairman who I don't think has a great deal of power to make decisions. You've got a manager who has lost the players, a manager who's lost the fans, a manager who is tactically inept. His team have no shape, is stubborn, is inflexible, is just all those things. You have players, some of whom that are trying, some of whom that couldn't give a monkeys. You've got your highest paid player on 30 grand a week who genuinely couldn't give a shit anymore. You've got a club that just seems to drift, and you've got a business across the city that's in the same business as you are, making £19 million a year profit, that's in the Champions League, that's actually doing okay in Europe this season, and you didn't get into that competition because you lost. And it doesn't look great, does it? It's not a position of strength we're working from. We're trying to employ someone. Now, it may be that someone sits there and thinks, you know what, I could make a huge difference to this. I could make a massive difference to this. I could come in, shake it all up, start it all over again, and we could fly. And that may be so. Or you've got to ask as well, are these candidates asking questions and being told things they don't want to hear? Okay, so how much independence have I got for decision making? How much power do I have to make decisions for myself? And they've been told by Douglas Park and his son Jabba that they haven't, that the board will ultimately take all the decisions. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to get my head around how it's taking 7 months to get to a point where we might, in a dream scenario, to quote John Gilligan, actually have a CEO. I mean, I honestly look at this situation, guys, and I honestly think, how can you say, that this club is well run, that this club are making good decisions, that this club are making the right decisions to take the club forward? You've got a civil war breaking out now between the Union Bears and the club. Absolute open warfare between the big supporter group, the ultras, the guys who make most of the noise, the guys who bring the tifos, the guys who make all the noise away from home, guys who dedicate, and ladies as well, sorry, who dedicate their lives to the club. And there's a civil war breaking down between them, two of them. And I know that people level things at the Union Bears like they've cost the club money with their pyro displays, etc., etc. But I'll tell you this, the board have cost this club far more money with their shit decisions. Australia, Edmiston House overrun, sports bar overrun, stadium debacle, sacking multiple managers, the list goes on. The list goes on and on. So the board have cost this club far more money than the Union Bears have. So I don't think that's an argument at all against the Union Bears, but it's a worry at the moment. It really is. And you know, if we're going to move forward, if we're actually going to move forward as a football club, you know, pre-January, we need a new chairman. We need a new CEO. Now, look, I know this is not popular amongst all the fans, but you know, even if it takes someone like Dave King to come in, even for a year or for 6 months, stabilize, and then bring in new investors, then so be it. So be it. Because I'll tell you this: you may call him Dodgy Dave King. Some of you may cite back to the legal battles that he's caused and whatever. But this is an honest question I want to ask you now. Can he do any worse than what they're currently doing? Could he run this club any worse than it is currently being run? No CEO, no chairman, no director of football operations, 9 points behind Celtic and Aberdeen, no clear transfer vision, a manager who is just gone, a manager who isn't up to the task anymore. And I was listening to a pod this morning, and I heard something on that podcast that reminded me of what is wrong with this man. What is wrong with this man? Okay, I want to take you back to Steven Gerrard coming in post-match, and we'd just beaten Dundee 5-0. Okay, first half was 4-0 to Rangers. Second half, there was a goal, 1-0, and it's 5-0. Okay, and I can't remember the exact words Gerrard said, but he said that is not acceptable for a Rangers team. That is simply not good enough for a Rangers team. That we should be going and we should be putting teams to the sword and putting teams away properly. Steven Gerrard came in and he said that he was not happy with the performance and a 5-0 home victory. Okay, that's what he said. The guy's a winner. Now, I'm not saying bring Gerrard back. I'm just using this as an example. Philippe Clement stood post 2-1 defeat to Aberdeen. That's right, to Aberdeen. Not even Celtic, not even in Europe, none of those things, but to Aberdeen. And he said, and I quote, that was one of our best performances of the season. We just lost 2-1. And he says, that's one of our best performances of the season. We draw 3-3 at home to Celtic. Draw. It's a moral victory for us. We lose and are pretty much smashed at Parkhead. And he says, we were just as good as them. Now, you please tell me how someone like that is fit to run our football club, who clearly doesn't understand what it is to be a Rangers manager, what is expected of a Rangers manager. Steven Gerrard got it. Now, obviously, we're stuck with him because we've got no CEO, we've got no chairman, we've got no director of football operations, no one to take decisions, no one to sack him, no one to move him on. Now, please tell me how that's right. How does that work? This search is turning into a farce. And like I said, dream scenario that in 7 months from Bisgrove's resignation date, we might, just might, have Santa bringing us a brand new CEO. Mate, seriously, guys, that's shit. That is not good enough. Douglas Park, Jabba Park, John Gilligan, Karim Varani, all you rest of you directors, I can't be asked to name all of you, sort your fucking act out. Get your fingers out your asses, sort this mess out. And if you can't sort it out, there's the door. Use it, get out of our football club and give it to someone who can sort it out. And personally, that's the approach I'd favour. Park family, fuck off. Don't want you in this football club anymore. You're a virus. You're destroying this club. Get someone in who can run it. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. And as always, please, on the way out, smash the like, sub, comment, share, do all that great stuff. And remember always, we are the people.